welcome to Dalma Mix. In this video I'll share with you how I made this felt lined trinket tray from the lid of a coffee jar. I used the glass part of this coffee jar for a different project and you can find the link in the description. However, I'm going to focus on the lid. I really like the rounded rectangular shape. It's not that common. It has this shiny gold plasticky film on it that makes it really slippery. So first I'm going to peel that off to make the surface a little bit more receptive to glue. And then I can figure out exactly what kind of pieces I need to cut out from felt to completely line it. As you can see, I traced and cut out a circle for the bottom, and to line the edges I'm going to cut out some smaller pieces and sort of create a composite lining, as the felt is too thick and stiff to do it from like one piece. Instead, I'm going to measure and cut out a total of 8 rectangles, creating some overlap but making it easier to manipulate them into place. As I was measuring, I was always making sure that I would only mark the felt on one side so that I could have the nice pristine side show. For the outside of the tray, I wanted to use some of these embossed silk leaves. I just pull them off their wire stems, as I won't be needing that support. I just want the fabric part. I marked a line of how much of the leaf I would need, and I cut all of the pieces to the same size. Because I wanted the felt to roll over the edge, I'm going to attach the silk leaves first, and for adhesive I just used hot glue. I'm trying my best to attach them centered and symmetrical, first on all 4 sides and then on all 4 corners. I started attaching the felt lining with the same hot glue, being careful on the outside to not create any overspill and also not to burn my fingers. I'm also using little tricks like marking a line for the depth, just so I know how far I should add hot glue. Although the circle was the perfect size before I added the lining to the sides, it became too big as the felt added some thickness. So I just cut off a thin ring of excess and then attached the disc neatly. To cover the raw edge of the felt, I used a piece of synthetic lace ribbon, and I just ran a bead of hot glue slowly and carefully, trying to keep the ribbon as straight as possible, giving it a nicer, more finished look. Of course, I can't stop here, as the top of the lid was branded, and I definitely don't want that to show, even if it's the bottom of my tray. So I just traced and cut out a piece of cardstock to just cover that, and once again attached it with hot glue. I could stop here, but I wanted to add some feet to this tray so that it's raised when it's sitting on a surface. So I roughly measured and marked the 4 corners for a little bit of precision, and I'm using these laser cut wooden discs as feet. With the added height, this also gave me an opportunity to adorn the bottom as well. I found this octagonal metal filigree that fits just perfectly, and also these tiny owl charms that are just adorable. And once again attached everything with hot glue. This time trying very hard not to burn my fingers, as metal is a lot more heat conducting than any other material I use today. Once all the glue is set, it's time for painting. I picked a red acrylic paint that's just a little bit darker than the felt lining, but it matches in hue. And I carefully went around the edge to paint that blue lace ribbon and everything else meticulously as well, covering any of the marks I made and unifying all the other materials by making them the same color. I added a few coats of the acrylic paint, making sure to get into all the little holes in the filigree. After the base coat has fully dried, I picked a sort of brick tone red acrylic paint. This one has a nice chalky consistency and it's quite matte, and I'm just using it sparingly, applying it with my finger, only touching the raised surfaces, bringing back out all the texture from the leaves, the lace, the filigree, and the owls. Next, I did the same thing with a nice bright yellow, making the contrast even deeper between the recesses and the highlights, and also adding a bit of color variation and a little bit of a distressed look. I finished with a little bit of gold paint, giving it just a subdued, nice shimmer. This will give it a finish that will make it match with the other things that is going to be displayed next to in my home. After all the acrylic paint has dried, I finished the feet of the tray by adding on some transparent glass cabochons to the feet. This time attaching them with some air dry resin so that it dries completely transparent and doesn't add any bulk. Finished with the feet, and the little tray I think looks just a little bit more sophisticated, and also being raised off the surface makes it just a little bit more interesting, especially with the surprise design at the bottom. I filled mine with some tiny bottles and crystals that didn't have a home, but I think this would also make a really good jewelry tray on the bedside table or in front of the mirror. And to think it was made out of something plastic that would have been thrown away. As the title says, trash to treasure. Let me know in the comments what you think about this project and whether if you'd made something similar before. And don't forget to check out the video linked in the description for the glass part of the coffee jar. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I upload a new crafty video every week. Thank you for watching. I hope you're having a nice day. Bye.